Good morning to everybody, and welcome to this panel. Today we have four experts with us that will tell us about what to expect about the future of the rail sector. If anyone wants to ask any question, please raise your hand at the end of the panel, and we will have the microphone. So let's just start introducing the speakers. Jorge Rodriguez. Jorge has more than 10 years of experience within the rail sector. 5 years ago, he left the corporate world and moved into a startup. And since then, he has led Main Rail Project, a company that has already implemented digital solutions in more than 3,000 kilometers of Spanish infrastructure. Susana Palomino. Susana has been working at Metro Bilbao since the very beginning, even before it became in operation almost 30 years ago. She's currently Client and Social Innovation Director, and she has been in various management positions within the company. After 8 years as President of the UITP, Marketing and Product Development Commission, she became honorary member of the association and is now part of the policy board. We have Iñaki San Sebastian as well. Iñaki has been related to innovation for the last 25 years with a specific focus on research, and now he spends the time in CAF, where he is the head of innovation program of the World Group. And Unai Alvarado. Unai is a researcher who published more than 60 papers with a specific focus on system engineering and communication applications. And now he is member of the Technological Center, developing new technology for railway operation. Many of you will wonder why we have decided to talk about rails at this event. And the answer is simple. Governments are taking big steps towards sustainable mobility with a specific focus on rail. Germany invested more than 10 billion euros in energy transition, in which is included sustainable mobility. France increased high-speed lines across the country and reduced 30% the prices, and other countries such as Italy and other European countries are taking similar initiatives. So investment and innovation is a hot topic, so let's dive into it. Jorge, imagine you are the European governor and you can only do one investment that involves technology in infrastructure for the next 10 years. Which will be?
Well, for sure, it's a very difficult question. First of all, because I have to imagine myself like the European Union, so not easy to imagine, but probably, and I have to admit that maybe my answer is related with my passion and where we are focused on main rail, but my answer will be that if I just can invest on one topic, will be data. Why? Because the sector have a lot of strength, a lot of great capabilities in terms of engineering, manufacturing, but we have to admit that we have a gap too. And this gap is related with the data revolution. Probably this gap is not so strong, depending on where you look, but if you have a look to infrastructure, it's a clear problem. It's admitted by almost all the railway administrators that we have a gap in data gathering, data integration, data exploitation. And it's not just talking about we want to embed on data because it's trendy. No, it's because it has been proven to be very efficient in terms of return. In all the industry with maintenance and exploitation, it starts to be data-driven. And this is not just about buying a solution and doing a project. It's related with starting with new way of managing operation to raise more data, to integrate more data, new type of equipment. Probably in the rolling stock domain, there are more advances done that are arriving to the market. But if we have a look to the infrastructure, that is the other part of the equation, well, there is a clear gap that already states and railway administrators are investing, started to invest, and ensure that I'm going to have a clear return in terms of maintenance cost reduction, disturbs reduction, fault reduction, increased capacity of the network, increased life cycle of the assets that are quite expensive. Probably if you ask me to say two options, I will say new lines, but the first point is be more efficient exploiting and maintaining what we already have. And the main gap on this point in our sector is related with that.
Nay, do you agree? Would you like to add anything or you consider that is important?
Yeah, I would like to add something else, because I totally agree with Jorge in the sense that digitalization is one of the key technologies that enables a more sustainable railway, better railway, more accessible railway. We could think about providing better high-speed lines, promoting automation, that kind of stuff. But I would also pick, if I was this European governor.
Jorge is at this moment.
Yes. I would also invest in promoting innovation, because sometimes, there are specific networks that try to promote research, try to promote new developments, new technologies, and so forth. But we need new developments, new technologies that have real impact. And in my opinion, this impact it comes from the hands of the innovation, and the key players could be not only academia and research centers that provide new technologies, but also startups and SMEs that pick these new technologies and transfer to the industry to have real impact. So I would invest in promoting innovation.
Okay. And Iñaki, in the context of the population growth, that is one of the topics of the table. We have talked about the investment of innovation. What strategies can be implemented to make railway system more accessible to broader demographic of travelers?
Okay. Well, first of all, good morning to everybody. Well, first thing I would like just to give some context to the challenge that we have in front of us, in the sense that if there is a clear trend that people is moving to the cities. In 1950, 30% of the population of the world live in cities. In 2050, it will be 70%. But in 1950, they were 2,500 million people. In 2050, we will be more than 8,000 people. That means that the people living in cities will be more than 9 times the people that we had in 1950s. So we have, as policymakers, as industry, as industrial ecosystems, as operators, as citizens, a huge challenge to give the best answer to how we are going to move all that people. Okay, so this is the context that we have, okay? CAF, that the company that I represent, it wants to be one of the main players in this, providing solutions to this challenge. And we foresee that there are like 3 characteristics that these solutions have to fulfill. One is that of course, there is one that they don't even count it. It has to be safe. Okay, but that's mandatory. I mean, it is not a discussion, but it has to be economically inclusive in the sense that everybody has to have access to that mobility. Second, it has to be sustainable from the environmental point of view. So we have to develop zero emissions. Okay, and third, it has to be very connected to the real needs of the city. And if we are looking to Bilbao, for example, we have a lot of cities, no? We see that this higher density of people will require a higher use of the mobility, and the autonomous, and I'm going to your question right now. So the autonomous vehicle, it is one of the ways to maximize the use of the existing infrastructure, both the fixed and the rolling infrastructure, because it's the way to guarantee that the frequency, the headways of the system, the use of that infrastructure can be done in a safe way. No? For example, in the use of metros, the headway, the time between metros is, in sometimes, is being reduced to a very, very, very short times, down to 120 seconds. So that means that every 2 minutes. So how sophisticated it has to be the solution in order to give answer to their requirements is huge from the technological point of view. Okay, and that's why the autonomous vehicle in both metro, trams, but also buses, because CAF is a company that is also providing solutions not only in the rolling stock and the rail industry, but also in the buses. So we have the whole portfolio of solutions: bus, trolleyways, trams, metros, trains, and regional trains. So this idea of autonomous vehicle with different realities in different uses is a clear trend in order to improve the use of the infrastructure, and also to reduce the cost of this operation, of this service. And this is a way to get the overall operation cost lower. We will afterwards talk also about energy efficiency and other requirements that also will lead us to economical solutions in terms of this inclusive economy of the solutions.
Okay, I would like to ask Susanna, you have mentioned some data that in the future more people will be in urban areas, so when the metro will be really important. So would you like to add on the top of that and relating with all the demographic travelers?
Yes, for sure. Hello. Well, thank you very much for being here. We are a small group today here, but I have to tell you that you are the clever ones. Not for the group, but because this is the nicest room in the Congress, okay? So good for you. Anyway, I don't know you have already had the opportunity to try our metro system, our metro network. Yesterday, it was our 28th anniversary. So yeah, it was happy birthday for the metro. 28 is not so much time for a metro. And when it was designed, it was already accessibility in the head of the designers. The architect, the British architect Norman Foster, was in charge of the design of the metro. All the stations have mechanical stairs and lifts. And we had that in mind. We knew that for people over 65 years old, people have a special ticket for the underground, which is very cheap. It's just symbolic what you pay, all right? So we knew that for that range of people, having lifts, and it was going to be an advantage. So we gave them independency and freedom, all right? So, but it was not only that on what we focus. We also focus on the machines, because one of the big things we did was all ticket selling is done by machines, no people selling tickets. So for an older person, facing a machine was a great challenge. For 10 days, we had one person on every machine to help people doing that. But before that, we make a trial with them to see if the size of the letters, if the contrast within the colors was okay for everybody. And we made a lot of changes. So from the very beginning, we had in mind everybody. For young people, it's easy to take an underground, but for all people, the underground system is not a nice space. Everybody's running, and everybody's worrying about you because everybody wants to catch the metro. So you have to take care of them. For you to have an idea, the metro system gets 52% of all the transport public riderships in the region. All right, so we are the major operator. We have, nowadays I can say that we have recovered 2019 figures of passengers that obviously dropped dramatically during the COVID time. We are still waiting for some old people to come back because the figures of that sector of people they are not back to the public transport because they are afraid of mixing with people. But the figures are now the same ones as 2019, and we hope we will close this year with more than 91 million passengers. Okay, which for the area we serve, the area the metro runs is about 800,000 people. So I think we are doing okay. All right. So in terms of demography, we know population is getting older. We will stop driving cars, not only because we become older, but also because all cities are asking people to leave their cars at home. More and more streets are being just for pedestrians. So the infrastructure and the number of passengers will for sure increase.
Okay. You mentioned the aging of population, and I would like to ask Jorge and Unai. As the population ages, what innovation should the rail consider to provide safer, more comfortable, and more reliable transport options for those individuals that are more vulnerable, such as elderly or individuals with reduced mobility or the world travelers or passengers? So, yes.
Okay, as Iñaki mentioned before, safety first. Railway has to be safe, and railway, it is safe by design, because you have to comply with very specific procedures that will lead to safe operations. So, but something that is very important, and Iñaki has mentioned before, the autonomous operations and safe operations. Railway is integrated system in which you have an infrastructure and vehicles that go through this infrastructure. So the system has to be safe, not only vehicles. And one important issue is the infrastructure to be safe and to be available. Not only safe, for sure safe, but the thing is that if the infrastructure is not safe, it's not safe, trains can have accidents and people might be injured. But on the other hand, if the infrastructure is not available and you have some unexpected stops or things of failures, unexpected failures or things like that, people are not injured but might be a little angry sometimes. No? And for that, the resiliency of the infrastructure is very important. And to that, better maintenance strategies, and especially monitoring and inspection solutions to have more data available so you can play and convert this data into useful information is very important. And I think that Jorge also has something to add.
Yeah, wow. There is another clear point that Susanna explained very well about how to adapt station and how do you access to the train transport. That is for sure extremely important. I don't know if we have here someone from Paris, but some years ago I were with my baby in Paris, and I decided that I will never move to Paris for living when I have kids or when I'm old, because automatic ladders and elevators doesn't exist. But in the area where I can talk is clearly related with what the United States. For sure, safety first. Being clear that railway transport is more than safe. Have attacks of accident and incident really low. But even comfort. All of us have noticed sometimes when you start shaking in a train, this is a clear situation related with the infrastructure of the train. Most of the, even more frequent with infrastructure, but both of them are related. And knowing that there are new type of problems coming that we can solve with technology. One example that, it's something that we have developed and have been validated this last summer, not in Bilbao Metro, but in Basque Country Railway Network, is a predictive solution for backlink predicting. Backlink is a defect in the track that appears clearly related with summer temperature that for sure are rising. So now our track are having to face more intensive summer, more higher temperature, and that can make that the track have a lateral deformation that can have a security risk and for sure a great comfort problem, and even make you reduce the speed, changing timetables, etc., etc., etc. So with Basque Country Railway Network, we have applied different type of algorithms. Some of them just based on physics, some of them based on data, enabled in order to be able to predict in the next 5 days or even 7 when and where you can have this problem. Why? First of all, to avoid it, safety. And second, if one of the solutions, because there are different options to try to avoid it, is reducing the speed, knowing that next Friday you will need to reduce the speed in these 5 curves and in this straight line, and being able to adapt your timetables in advance to avoid disturbing the people. But for sure this is important, but in terms of aging population, the first point is making as easy as possible to arrive to the train and to use the train. Okay, this other option will be an advantage for everybody, but the key point is that, well, accessing to the train is much more challenging if you cannot walk properly, and that happens with elder people, and for sure when you have a baby. That is what I clearly remember from Paris. I'm sorry if someone from Paris is present. That was my real experience.
Susana, you mentioned about the aging of population and related to this. Do you think we should focus on them? And if yes, why?
Well, I would say no.
Why?
Or not only, all right? And I'll show you an example, all right? Talking about prams and little babies, in our trains you can easily find 5 to 6 prams, almost in every train, all right? And also if we talk about old people, they prefer to travel being seated, all right? So everyone would like to have a seat. But if we take those figures and we put the figures in the context that more and more people are using the underground, because we are a mass transport system and trips are going higher and higher every week, we cannot run more frequency, because the highest frequency we can run now is 1 train every 2.5, every 2.5 minutes. And also we cannot have larger trains, because we will need to have new stations, okay, because our platforms have a fixed size. So the only way we can allocate more people in the trains are getting rid of seats. So we have to focus in all different segments of passengers to meet everybody's expectations, which is not always nice for one or another, it's just a mixture. So we got rid of some seats. We have changed the colors of the seats reserved for all people or people that really needs to travel being seated. And so that's why I was saying not only focus in really elderly people, because we need to find a way to have everybody on board, all right? And I think this is a challenge. This is a real challenge for the next future. If we are having more and more passengers, we have young people with prams, we have people using wheelchairs and they have their own space. We have people that want to go seated and we have young people that can go anywhere. But nowadays, they are also traveling with their electric scooters, which that is another debate because more and more railway system are banned them for being inside because we had some explosions of electric motorcycles inside. But answering to your question, not only, all right?
Okay. And Iñaki, with the growing emphasis on autonomous transportation, you have mentioned previously, which strategies should the railway consider to make the rail transport autonomous, and which are the challenges to achieve this in the near future?
Well, I was explaining just before to my colleagues. I'm working in Causenz 2.5 years ago, and I'm coming from the industrial research activity, and I was telling them that we were happy before that when somebody worked just for a moment in a lab, no? And now I'm in a system that everything has to work all the times and under any circumstances. No? So there is a huge change, and that means that when we are talking about autonomous vehicles, that means that the approach that you have to fulfill, it is really sophisticated. Yes, Susana has explained us the limitation of the frequency of the trains, and we hope that we will have the technology to reduce in the future that frequency of the trains to, let's say, 60 seconds. But that to go from 2.5 minutes to 60 seconds, it is a huge game change. So the number of technologies that we have to include in that, it is very, very challenging. This week is called the SME week, no? And so I just want to take the opportunity also to explain or say that we are in front of a great opportunity. The needs that we have on mass transit in the future is a huge opportunity. By the way, this is it's an initiative, a week around SMEs and Europe. Well, the three main providers of railway solutions in the world are European. The fourth one from the European Union, because the fourth one is from Switzerland. So 4 out of 5 are from Europe. The fifth is Chinese. No? So there are few industrial sectors where the European leadership, it is so high as is happening here in the rail system. So we should try to maintain or even increase this leadership, not only of the big OEMs, no, but also all the value chain that is providing solutions to that. So I would encourage to SMEs and to startups to really get this wave of the mass transit. We need a lot of technology. In the case of CAF, we are investing a lot of money on research and development and innovation, but it's not enough to maintain the path of innovation. So we need the involvement of startups, of high technology evolved startups that could provide us with new technologies that we can also integrate in our solutions. In fact, to accelerate this relationship, we have something that is called the CAF Startup Station, that is a venture client system, in a way that in a systematic way, we try to identify needs that we have inside the whole group and match that need with solutions that are coming from startups and integrate those solutions in order to solve as soon as possible those needs, because we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, we don't have the money to do by ourselves of that. So that means that it's a huge opportunity for the whole value chain of the industry, because the figures are clear, the needs are clear. We can estimate how many passengers will move in the Bilbao's metro in 2050, the needs that we will have on that, and that's happening all over the world. So it's a great opportunity, and to develop those autonomous solutions, we need, we would like to have also sophisticated suppliers that can bring technology up with us and develop solutions on top of what we are doing by ourselves, which is huge.
Okay, we have talked about autonomous transportation, which is a really hot topic in the rail sector. And what about artificial intelligence? Jorge, what role do you think technologies such as artificial intelligence and Internet of Things play in the rail evolution to an autonomous?
Well, for sure, if I start talking about data, obviously, I really believe that artificial intelligence have a key part of our improvement or in our future in the railway sector. First of all, both of you have been talking about it, especially Susana, increasing or reducing gap between trains, so that means increasing capacity. So that means more trains, more tons of people and trains moving for the same rails, so more railway, more maintenance needs, and it's not just more trains. Usually are more trains and a higher turntable. So that reduces the maintenance windows, something that is, the passengers don't know about it, but big part of maintenance is done without traffic. Why? Well, obviously, in terms of security, is what you need. So we are going to go to a future where maintenance needs are going to increase just because we are going to use more these assets that probably will be aging, but even if they are new, they are going to be using more these assets, so degradation will run faster. And the time for doing maintenance to fight against this usual degradation is reduced because the timetable of the metro is expanding. So what do we have to do? We have to change what we do the maintenance of the infrastructure and the trains too. Because now basically we do two types of action. Preventive works that mainly are time-based activity, each 3 months, each week, each month, each blah, blah, blah. You have to check this. Despite, it doesn't matter how this asset is performing or is really in this moment, and then correct the problem that you found. We have to move to save time in preventive works, in inspecting, with more inspection, probably on board solution that I know that Metro is starting to use some of them in the regular trains to take data and to identify how these assets are evolving to avoid or to reduce these preventive works, and being more efficient in taking the right action in the right moment So both of these problems are quite related with artificial intelligence, with predictive solutions. Some of them will be artificial intelligence, that it seems that it's the only type of intelligence in the world. No. Engineering knowledge and human intelligence can be part of the process. But it's true that if you don't monitor or you increase the volume of data on how you take data automatically without spending part of this maintenance windows, you cannot improve your maintenance process to go ahead with this higher demand of traffic, more intensive traffic, more continuous traffic, and longer operation timetables. So this is a part of the problem where artificial intelligence as a tool that uses data, it's not the only one, but it's part of the equation, can solve or can help us to arrive to this future situation. But in data science or artificial intelligence is a clear sentence that is garbage in, garbage out. So if you don't have the raw materials, if you don't have this data and this data volume and quality is not enough, the problem is not going to be the tool. The algorithm you are trying to use can be marvelous, but don't have raw material to give you the results. So this is what I say at the beginning, and I close the loop, that my first investment will be in data. Because if you have this raw material, then you can do a lot of things. And then you can use this data to face different problems. Then now that we have the ones that we have already clear, some of them clearly told or introduced by my colleagues, and the new that they will face in the future. Because I cannot imagine how we will use free transportation in 20 years, but probably will be different. Now we are talking about patinate. I don't know if we are going in a skateboard flying in 20 years, I don't know. But other type of problem will appear, and taking data will help us to improve how we manage the current problem that we are facing and the new ones that will appear.
Okay, and speaking about innovation, we cannot forget the role that sustainability plays in the rail sector. So, Susana, could you share one example on how railway system contributes to the sustainability and reduce the environmental impact?
Okay, well, just one thing when you said we don't know how we will use the public transport in the future. I'm sure you all have in mind or have watched a film called Minority Report that shows a very futuristic city. Well, I don't know if you remember, but the metro that is in the film is exactly the metro we have now. All right. So, okay. Anyway, talking about sustainability, yes, we have developed a very interesting project I want to share with you. It's about energy and sharing the power, okay? All right, when you, first of all, we have to bear in mind that when we, Metro Bilbao, we buy energy, we don't buy the energy alone. Now we go with another company, the underground system in Barcelona, and the tramway in Murcia, two different Spanish cities, okay? So there's three of us, we go to the market to buy the energy, and that's how we get lower prices for the energy, because we buy a huge amount of energy, okay? We are red carpet for the energy producer companies, okay? So that's one point. The energy we buy, we manage to buy this energy at lower prices, and also since 3 years ago, 100% of the energy we buy is green energy, certified green energy. It's a little bit more expensive, but we decided to go for that. All right. Then, metro timetable. We run our trains from Monday to Thursday from 6 o'clock to 23, Fridays till 2 o'clock in the morning, and Saturdays, Sundays, non-stop. That means that from Monday to Thursday, there is no train service for people, so we don't use energy, we don't consume energy, only for maintenance. All right. On the other hand, we have the municipality of Bilbao, the town hall, they have their own buses called Bilbo Bus, Bilbao Bus, and they were thinking and buying more and more electric buses. But they have the problem on how do we feed the buses. So they were thinking to build a huge depot outside the city and bring all the energy to that depot, which is a huge amount of money because we have to pass all the cables and things like that. So we found out that one of the small depots they have is very, very close to one of our energy substations we have in the metro. This is in the outskirts of Bilbao. So what have we done? Okay, we have just built a short line, only 500 meters line, to the Bilbao bus, to the bus depot. And all the electric buses can use the energy we are not using during the night. The advantage for the municipality is that the energy they pay is cheaper than the one they cannot pay because they are using our energy. We charge them for the energy they are using. And it's also very good for us because you know that in your bill you have two concepts. You have the energy you consume and then you have the power. And you have to pay for the power regardless you are using it or not. So we charge a little amount of the power and also, of course, all the energy they are using. So it has been a joint venture. We've been working on that for the last 2 years, and it will become a reality, I don't know if it's today or next week. So it's been a very good example. We are explaining this example, not me, the engineers, in different metro systems in Spain and in Europe, because it's really a very good example of how to save money and how to share energy, and all in all, good for all. So, yeah, I thought it was like a good example to share with you.
Really good example, yes. So now let's switch from the sustainability to intermodality, Unai. Could you define which will be the best infrastructure in the big, intermodal infrastructure in a big city?
This is difficult to answer. When we think about intermodality, most of the times we think about moving people from one place to other that are sharing different means of transportation. You mentioned before the electric scooters, bikes, electric bikes, cars, trams, trains, whatever it might be. And this is very important, and I think that we are paying a lot of attention to that, and cities are moving towards promoting these new mobility solutions and new intermobility related solutions. But also we have to think about moving things from one place to other, not only people, also things, also freights. And the freight world is dominated by road solutions, also maritime solutions, no? But in terms of land, everything, or most everything is road, and railway is not very much in use, no? I think that in Spain the share of goods transportation by railways is less than 6% or 7%. Things in Europe are a little better, and we even have the objective of having more than 30% of the share of goods transportation in Europe before the year 2030. And it is a huge challenge. And in my opinion, this is, I don't know if we can think about what kind of intermodality-related infrastructure, but I know that something that is very important comes from the digitalization of freight trains. I am sure that if you see a train now and a train 50 years ago, things have evolved a lot, no? CAF manufactures very fancy trains, and we have futuristic trains manufactured in Japan and so forth. But if you see a freight wagon now and 50 years ago, they look the same. They are old, they look full of graffiti and stuff like that.
Probably it is the same thing.
Sometimes it's the same. And there is a huge opportunity there to promote freight digitalization. Also by allowing better infrastructures, probably cross-border freight corridors and things like that, but also digitalization of the freight train. Okay.
So today we have discussed about different topics on the rail sector. So as the time is running, I would like to conclude I would like to summarize the main topic that emerged from this insightful conversation. So the first one is we have discussed about the importance of adapting the system to the needs of the users. The railway sector must serve as a model of accessibility for all the people, for everyone. We have talked about the sustainability. The sustainability is the backbone of the future. The rail sector is one of the most sustainable transport modes, so it's our responsibility to drive innovative projects that makes the system even more sustainability and friendly, environmental friendly. And we have talk about the innovative projects and technologies. It's really important to invest in innovation to achieve the future of the rail sector, digitalization, the data, intermodality, to achieve the European goals. So I would like to take this into account, these 3 points. I don't know if you want to add anything on these 3 points or to conclude, yeah?
Yes. Taking the data I gave you about this movement to the cities, there is also another, I think, a key important fact, that is that 80%, 80, of the CO2 emissions in the world are coming from cities. Okay? So if we want to reduce the CO2 emissions, we need more zero emissions or near zero emissions solutions in the cities, and really the train it is one of those solutions. By the way, we listen to our politicians talk about electrifications of the mobility, and sometimes they forget to say that the trains are mainly electrical. Okay, so we already are electrical transport, but sometimes it seems like, well, the electrical car is the new solutions when we have already all the metros running electrically, and we are innovating in more solutions for battery-based electrical trains or hydrogen-based electrical trains also. So at the end, zero emission mobility. So I think that we should be proud of what our industry is providing, and this is one of the ways to solve one of the biggest problems that we have in the planet, and that we have to recognize that that is the way, and to remember to third parties that this is part of the solutions.
Okay, so just, I don't know if anyone wants to ask any question. Yes, okay, so the micro, she will facilitate you the micro, and if you can stand up and, yeah, okay, perfect. I made the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the great discussion. I'm Andrzej Kowařík from the European Parliament. I have just a quick question. I know that the main topic of the discussion is railway, and I'm a big fan of railway, so I'm really happy to listen to your views. But do you have any comments on combining, because when we speak about mobility, it may be combining different solutions. I think especially when we speak about comfort for passengers, but also for freight, of passing huge part of your travel by railways and then connecting to use another mode of transport, either micro mobility in the cities or switching to bus cars and other types. Would you have any specific comments on this multimodal role of railway? How can it play? How can it actually be played in the future? And if this is something where we can also look more into details, what possibilities and solutions are there for the future mobility in these terms? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Susanna, yes. I think there is no other option for full mobility than having different modes, all right? From from many years ago, we have park and ride systems in the outskirts of the city. So if you want to ban the car inside the city, you need to provide parking places outside the cities. The car definitely will not disappear, because there are a lot of places where there are very few people living, so most of them need a car. But you need to provide these networks, all right? For example, in our case, the parkings we have connected to the stations. If you park your car there and you take the trip in the underground and then you go back, you pay 65 cents of euros for the whole day. All right. If you don't have a metro ticket that you can just validate before you pay the parking, then I think you pay 3 euros per hour. So that's the difference. So you have to encourage to have different modes. All right. Now we are working in this region in Vizcaya, where we are. We are working on the not paying. Transfer modes, all right? So if you use two connecting modes, now you pay both modes separately. You have a little discount, but it's very little. So we're thinking on paying just one trip, the longest one. That will come in the next 2-3 years, because technically speaking, it's quite complicated, all right? And also we are working in reducing the number of zones we have. Now we have 6, and we want to have 3. And that will be connecting little buses with regional buses, with undergrounds or nearby railways. Because as you said, that is the solution, is combining mobility. Although combining modes, people don't like to do that, unless your own car and then another one. But if you have to change to 2 public transport modes, in our experience, and in different meetings we have had in Europe, you will decrease the number of riderships. Okay, people just want to take one. That's why people are coming to live in the cities, all right? But if we want to spread the population, we need easy connections. I will say cheap and easy connections, all right?
I would like to make a small point. I'm not an expert in intermobility, but when you do your question and you were answering, I thought that yesterday I arrived by plane. I take a bus for going to the city center and my hotel. Today I take the metro for arriving here. And in some minutes, I will try to catch a taxi to take my plane, because I will be in a hurry. So I'm combining a lot of different transport modes. First of all, because connectivity is allowed, so the networks. And the main question is that I just need to ask Google Maps how to arrive there. So users have a lot of options today. Probably when I'm in Madrid, I live in Madrid, and I have a ticket that covers everything. One of the key points is people behavior, people mentality. So probably we have to focus on that, because in many places, networks are connected, and knowing which network you can combine is extremely easy. So I'm not going to say that everything is done. But in the last 10 years, a lot of advances have been put in place, and now I'm speaking as an user. Probably other type of measure, like restriction to arrive to the city center, etc., will, I'm not going to say force, but combines people to use these connections if they are fast and comfortable enough, or if they don't have other option. But now connecting different transport modes is quite easier, and I know because you don't need to ask to anybody even. You just need to ask to your phone.
Only ticketing systems all right? I think that when you can pay with your credit card, wherever you go,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's it.
Sometimes the hassle is, where do I buy the ticket for the underground? Where do I buy the ticket for the bus? And if you can pay with your credit card or with your phone, that is a big advantage. And also, you are right, we have to become more glamorous, okay? We can see adverts in the TV of fantastic cars with beautiful families or smiling while driving a Tesla, okay? We, public transport companies, we don't have that much money to spend on advertisement. But if we talk about sustainability, I think we can become as glamorous as they are.
My kids love taking metro for dinner.
Oh, we have
Yes,
another question.
We have another question, please.
Yeah.
I'm Sonja from the Netherlands. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love bicycling.
But sorry, I think for the streaming they need.
Yes, you have,
they
and you
need-
have to stand up as
Hello,
well.
hello. Yes. I'm Sonja. I'm from the Netherlands, and I love bicycling and also walking. And I think if you need to have more space for the elderly people in the metro or train, maybe you should stimulate more the young people to get on the bicycle, not electric, because that is energy. But I was wondering, because I was walking today in Bilbao, and I noticed that, and I'm also a little impatient, okay, that I had to wait for a long time for the red lights. It seemed that the cars were always a priority and not pedestrians. So I thought, if you just, I'm not an expert, but put the light a little longer on red for the cars and make it more attractive for pedestrians, that maybe is also a small solution, but just an idea.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, because you are right. I mean, we think about the cars and move them quickly, and then people can wait. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm Charlene Lambert from, also I live in the Netherlands. We just met each other, we're neighbors. So, but I come from North America originally, and it's a completely different world there with regard to public transportation. And I'm so lucky that I live in the Netherlands and Europe, and I love trains, and I take a lot of public transportation and bike. But I was wondering, I'm here actually representing women entrepreneurs, so this is my own reason that I came to this session. But I was wondering, it seems to me that there are more women who are taking public transportation, and I wondered if you have any data or statistics. Do you have any information on that?
I have the data from the underground system, all right, and also for buses. Okay, buses is 60, almost 70% women, and the rest men. All right. It's very different in different countries in Europe, okay? Because I have a meeting about this in Austria, and they were developing for all women, a special project for all women, because after the Second World War, there were many widows, women, widowed, and they were developing, an extra service for them to help them taking the bus, but that's another thing. In the metro system, passengers are 52 women. But we didn't start like that, okay? 20 years ago when we started, it was very much like the buses, almost 70% were women, and now we are almost half-half. That's due to young people taking the metro as their normal way of moving, all right? So, and also because we run long hours, we run all night on Saturdays, so they can go out at night and then come back home with the metro. But yeah, I agree with you. It has been, public transport systems have been mainly women, and now things are changing.
I wanted to congratulate you also on the beautiful system you have, the metro system, so clean and really, really nice.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's a question there. Okay. Thank you.
Anna Saga from Rice Research Institutes of Sweden. I have a question regarding freight versus people transport by railway. How do you want to solve capacity shortages, and who to prioritize, freight or people? Because now it's not enough.
Thank you very much. I think that
This is a very difficult question to answer, because on the other hand, you have different limitations. You have political limitations, you have capacity, infrastructure limitations, and you also have technology limitations. We have been discussing a lot the importance of data. And if you have to travel from here to the airport and then catch a bus, a tram, or whatever, you might struggle to buy a single ticket or not. It depends on the city, the administrations, and so forth. But if you want to transport freight from one place to the other, things get more complicated because things might be very different. It's not the same as to transport a small packet like that, or to transport big iron pieces, or to bring a train from the calf factory to the place where it's going to be operating. So this is a very big limitation. And then there are other limitations that are related to data, because if you want to transport or combine a train and then going from the train to a boat in a port, and then you want to bring it last mile with a truck or whatever, the different systems that carry the same load in different means of transportation don't communicate with each other. So there is a big technology limitation there. We need more technologies that bring data together and to allow different systems to speak to each other. So big limitations there, and very difficult to answer.
Okay, so now I think that there are not other questions, and we should close the panel. So thank you very much for joining today, and let's see you next year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.